What would you do if your partner, after years of a seemingly happy marriage, suddenly accused you of financial infidelity over a purchase you both agreed was acceptable? For today's protagonist, this accusation was just the tip of the iceberg, leading to a revelation so shocking it would change her life forever. It all started when I spent $5,000 on a new gaming computer, a high-end desk, and a chair. My husband, Mark, was furious. This, despite the fact that we are high-income earners in a fantastic financial position. The purchase was made with my own personal fund money, an allotment we had both established and agreed upon within our budget rules. I thought his anger was about the money, but the real reason was far more insidious. A week later, Mark admitted the computer wasn't the real issue. He was upset because he felt I wasn't professionally ambitious enough. He's on the executive track, and apparently, my own full-time career wasn't sufficient. He then told me he wanted me to cook fancier meals, set the table in a more elegant way, and dress up for dinner, essentially, to become a 1950s housewife. The more I stewed over his demands, the more wrong it all felt. I had a growing suspicion that this wasn't about me improving, but about him finding new ways to control me. I sensed that the goalposts would just keep moving and that I was playing a game I could never win. So, I decided to conduct an experiment, not because I thought he was right, but to see just how deep his dissatisfaction went. Amelia's decision to play along was a calculated risk, born from a sinking feeling that this was no longer a partnership of equals, but a game with ever-shifting rules she was destined to lose. That Saturday, I went all in. I started the morning at a salon for a full glow-up, a fresh haircut, new highlights, and a mani/pedi. Afterwards, I visited the farmer's market, picking up fresh flowers for the dining table and a host of gourmet ingredients. Instead of our usual date night out, I suggested we stay in so I could prepare a special steakhouse-style dinner. The menu was elaborate: lobster bisque, a basket of from-scratch breads and savory muffins, crab-stuffed mushrooms, filet mignon with au gratin potatoes, and for dessert, a white chocolate mousse topped with fresh raspberries. I wore a lavender sheath dress, his favorite color, on me, complete with high heels and perfectly done hair and makeup. After all that effort, all I received was a lukewarm thanks. It was tasty and a quick kiss on the cheek before he settled on the couch. I, of course, was left to handle all the serving and the cleanup alone. The next day, for Sunday brunch, he suggested we eat at home again, so I made French press coffee, mimosas with fresh squeezed juice, Belgian waffles with a bananas Foster topping, eggs scrambled with parmesan and garden herbs, roasted potatoes, and maple glazed bacon. Once again, I dressed the part in a sundress and wedges, with full hair and makeup, and once again, I got a simple thanks, "It's good," and zero help with the dishes. This reveals Mark's greatest fatal flaw. His need for control was so absolute that no amount of effort from me would ever be enough, because the goal wasn't appreciation, it was subjugation. Later, I calmly asked him if this weekend was what he had in mind when he criticized me. He looked at me, his expression flat, and said it was a start, but that I was acting very entitled for wanting credit for basic adulting. And then, he dropped the bomb. He said the reason he was being so hard on me was that he'd recently realized I had a lot to make up for because I was a low-value woman. I was stunned. I asked him what on earth he could possibly mean by that. His answer? It was because I wasn't a virgin when we met. It was a statement so absurd it barely registered. We started dating when we were 21. Neither of us was particularly religious, and the topic of virginity was never an expectation. I was always upfront with him that I'd had 2 previous partners, both in committed relationships. As many people online later commented, it sounded like he'd been radicalized by some toxic, misogynistic corner of the internet. One person astutely noted, "Oh my gosh, he found Andrew Tate." Unfortunately, that mindset is incredibly prevalent in the finance world, especially in those boys' club higher-up circles. He then went on, explaining that because of my low value, I would need to spend the rest of my life making it up to him. He told me I didn't deserve monogamy or equal treatment and that I was lucky anyone wanted to marry me at all. Then came the final blow. He had connected with someone from work, and if I wanted to keep him, I had better step up my game. He delivered the news of his affair not with guilt, but with a chilling sense of entitlement, completely unaware that this confession wasn't the checkmate he thought it was, but the first step toward his own isolation. I looked at the man I thought I knew and told him it didn't sound like there was anything left to keep if he no longer loved, or even respected, Me. I told him to leave. He said he would gladly go to his girlfriend's place. I felt so foolish for believing his complaints were about work stress or a genuine desire to improve our marriage, when it was all just a campaign to justify his affair. I immediately took a week off from work to clear my head. I have an appointment with a lawyer tomorrow and have already found an individual therapist. I know this divorce won't be easy, but I will be okay. For a brief time, he made me feel small, but now I see with perfect clarity that this was always a him problem. As one commenter wisely put it, I promise you life after getting rid of this man is going to be amazing. You're going to realize how much of your effort this leech was stealing from you, and it's going to feel like a huge weight has been lifted. He has become someone I don't recognize, and I am grateful I saw the truth before I wasted any more of my life. This story is a stark reminder that when a partner's criticism stops feeling constructive and starts feeling like a constant, impossible test, it's often not about you at all, but about their own deep-seated issues and justifications. So, here's a question for you all. At what point does a partner's request for improvement cross the line into emotional abuse?